Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Here, the charioteer, the Swami, is referred as Bhokta. This Shruti Vakya is not a Pramana. I mean, this Vakya doesn't mean you are Karta and Bhokta. Okay? Those Dvaitins think that you are Jiva, ever Jiva. They think of Mukti as going to some Loka and enjoying those divine pleasures hereafter. This particular imagery is further elaborated and described the ultimate destination. What happens if it is driven on a proper path, with a proper understanding? Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. You gain Parampada of the absolute abode of Vishnu. The word Vishnu is used for Shankha Chakra Gada Padmadhari Vishnu, forehead Lord Vishnu. And Brahman is also Vishnu. It is Veveshti Vyapnoti Sarvam iti Vishnu, which is all pervasive. That form with four hands and the Lakshmi besides is for Upasana. The same Vishnu, when described in Vishnu Sahasranam, that it is all pervasive, one Vastu. It is not something or someone sitting at some place and doing some work, sitting in Shesha, Naga, sleeping on that. Swamiji would say, first choir mattress. On serpent snake, he would sleep. And Lakshmiji, his wife, massaging his feet all the time. That's not the ultimate Swarupa. His Swarupa is all pervasive. When this fellow, the Ratha Swami, the master of the Ratha, gains that Vishnu Padam, with status of all pervasiveness, becomes all pervasive. So, this becoming is not real. You cannot become all pervasive. If it is all pervasive, it has to be one. That is infinity. You are already all pervasive and discovers himself or herself to be all pervasive. Bhokta is always parichinna, limited. So when he attains Vishnu Padam, then he becomes limitless. No limited Vastu can become limitless. Simple rule of mathematics. So this is the status of Bhoktatvam. Being Bhokta is incident because of identification with body-mind complex. It is accepted for the time being, to be negated as a false status later. So when you study Shastra, you have to see the context. You cannot just pick up one mantra and say, Upanishad says you are Bhokta. This is like all these yogis talking, Krishna says, Tasmad Yogi Bhavarja. 1/4 of a shloka. In the 6th chapter, it is mentioned by Krishna, Tasmad Yogi Bhavarjuna. But Yoga Shabda in Bhagavad Gita is never used for Patanjali Yoga, except once. It is used for nth number of times, more than 20-30 times. Every time the context is different. The meaning is different. Even in the 6th chapter itself, if you remember the verses, the yoga word is used for viyoga. Yoga means unite. It is in the sense of separation. tam vidya dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga. And when Arjuna says, questions, yoyam yogas tvaya prokta samena madhusudana, samadrashti, the vision of oneness is also yoga. And empathy is also yoga in the 6th chapter. Atmopamena sarvatra samam pashyati yojana sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mata. It says if one who is the greatest yogi, in my opinion, paramo mat yogi iti me mata, in my considered opinion, this person is a great yogi. Who is the one who becomes happy at others' happiness and becomes unhappy at others' unhappiness? It's a different meaning. Context is different. So, and yoga brashta, context is different. That whole section. Similarly, this bhoktrutvam assigned to I is incidental. That is not the tarparya. Understand? It is not the meaning of the Shastra. And you cannot quote Kathopanishad says, therefore Atma is Bhokta and therefore it goes to Vaikuntha Loka. This is what these fellows talk. So, Bhoktrutvam is because of identification with physio-psycho complex. This body and mind cannot remain without activity for a moment. Nahi kaschit chanamapi jatu tishtati akaram. It keeps on doing something. When you are identified with it, you become a doer. Incidentally, I am not one with the body. Incidentally happen to reside, and therefore it is. It is not by nature. Like an actor on a stage giving a dialogue of anger and love and all kinds of actions he does, that is incidental. Kingship is not real, or beggarliness is not real. He is begging on a stage and he doesn't start begging coming outside of the theatre. If you start begging outside the theatre, you better take him to hospital. He has forgotten this is real. Doesn't happen. So, kartrutvam is incidental. And to bring home that point that kartrutvam is not real, it is told Atma is akarta. Atma is asangaha. The status of being asanga, the status of being akarta is to negate the status of kartrutvam. Not that it is asanga also. By nature, it is Satchidananda, full stop. But then, since the status of doership is superimposed, to negate that doership, it is told you are asanga. Okay? So, now, having said this, what is the right way of travel? Tatra evam sati. Now he wants to establish that this kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, this doership and enjoyership is incidental. You have to discover yourself to be Purnatma, full self, Asanga. Then what is a way? When you gave a vehicle, Ratha, you gave a vehicle, then you talk of travel. How should we be traveling? That is now, it is being told. Since this travel is not in terms of space, I told you in the morning, not in terms of time, it is in terms of becoming. As though becoming. Ultimately, you have to become Purna. It is not becoming, discovering is becoming. But therefore, certain disciplines are taught. Certain attitudes are taught. Traveling in terms of certain discipline. The traveling is in terms of certain attitudes. Then the journey becomes successful. So what is a successful journey? When it is completed, so that is being discussed now. Okay. So look at that mantra number 5. Yastu Vijnanavan Bhavati Ayuktena Manasa Sada Tasyendriyanya Vashyani Duštashva iva sarathe yastva vijnanavan bhavati ayuktena manasa sada tasyendriyanya vashyani duštashva iva sarathe yastva vijnanavan bhavati ayuktena manasa sada tasyendriyani avashyani duštashva iva sarathe. It's difficult to chant together. Try. Yastva vijnanavan bhavati ayuktena manasa sada tasyendriyani avashyani duštashva iva sarathe. Yastu. I'll break the words. There is a sandhi. Yastu yaha tu avignanavan bhavati ayuktena manasa sada tasya indriyani avashyani duštashvaha iva sarathe. Okay. Yah, he, who, yah, tu, he, who, other end. Avignanavan bhavati. Avignanavan means knowledgeable. Or the right word is discriminating. Avignanavan means not knowledgeable, not discriminating. What? The Sarathi. This Ratha Swami, the master who is traveling, if his driver is not discriminative and ayuktena manasasana, whose mind is ayukta. Yukta means controlled, mastered. Ayukta means the mind is not mastered. To that Sathi, ashvaha dushtaha iva, just as those vicious horses, his sense organs become uncontrolled. Meaning thereby, if I put it in one word, if the buddhi has no discrimination and the reins are loose, the Sathi doesn't know the path, doesn't have clarity, reins are let loose, then horses will drive the chariot hither and thither. It will lead the chariot the way it wants to. Actually, the chariot should be driven by the driver, not the horses. But then it becomes driven by horses. Exactly like people here, they have a dog and they want to take the dog for a walk in the morning. Generally the girls take it. 15, 20 years old girl and then huge dog. They go. Who has taken the dog for a walk? The mistress of the house. Correct? All are master. And then she wants to go to right, dog takes her to left. So question is, who is taking whom for the walk? And she walks like that Italian tower, pizza, leaning tower. No Tommy! No Tommy! No Tommy! And Tommy takes her. That is like horses are to be directed. Reins are given. They should go in a direction in which the driver wants. And drivers should take in a direction which the master wants. Other than that, they take the master for ride. This is the meaning. Okay. Now, as I said, for a successful journey, you need to have certain discipline, certain attitude, certain wisdom. What is the first wisdom? Okay, what is that? Yastu avignanavan bhavati. Avignanavan sarthi. The driver is buddhi, has to have discrimination. Avignanavan means indiscriminate buddhi. What kind of indiscrimination? What kind of viveka is necessary? As a human being, the first viveka that is necessary is dharma, adharma viveka. What I should do and what I should not. What is proper for me to do, what is improper for me to do. What is my duty and what is not my duty. That boundary also should be known. That is the first discrimination. In fact, the education should teach this. Modern education system helps us to gain the strength necessary, strength or knowledge to earn money. So, wisdom of earning is given. But the person should have, along with wisdom of earning, wisdom of living, which includes how should I earn money and how should I not earn money. Where should I spend money and where should I not spend the money. All that is to be studied, understood. How should I relate to my family members? You are a social being. What's the proper way of relating? What's the improper way of relating with the people around? Relatives, with the society, with the nation, with the nature and with the objects. Everything should be taught. That wisdom of living is not being included. Therefore, we have very learned or you can skillful engineers, doctors, but then as a person, they are miserable. Whole society has this problem. Everywhere educational system is like that. So discrimination of first is what is proper and what is improper. That is how the culture should be. That's how we grew up. Our parents kept on telling us, don't do this, do this way, don't do that way. Don't sit here, don't eat this. Don't eat now, don't eat later. All that kind of do's and don'ts should be there. Because human being has a freedom. The freedom can be misused and abused. When there is a freedom, there has to be laws governing the freedom. Like when you have, I often give this example. When the machines are discovered, automobile machines got discovered. Moment that discovery came, the rules came, traffic rules. Drive on left or drive on right and don't park here and wait for the signal and all kinds of things. And the speed breakers also came. There were no speed breakers 100 years ago, 200 years ago, across the world, because everybody was in bullock cart. There is a question of speed breaker. You have to break the speed if there is a speed. The bullock didn't have the speed, so where is the question of breaking the speed? There is no school here, nothing was to be told those days, and there was no accidents. I never have read or heard that two bullock carts collided at all. Never it happened. There was no speed. Today itself, because of the fog in this Rajkot district, 30 cars got smashed. 30. 30 collided. In the morning today. One took place on Ahmedabad highway and one on Morbi highway. People do, they have factory and they live here. Because freedom. So Viveka is Dharma, Adharma Viveka. First, Dharma means Karta. Adharma means Akarta. Dharma doesn't mean belief. Dharma doesn't mean faith. This is my Dharma. Then, second Viveka. What attitude do I have in performing that? That karma, dharma karma, performing your duty itself is not karma yoga. Certain attitude behind it converts the same karma into karma. So that viveka has to be learned. Chariot should have that. Then only Vishnu Paramam Padam. Self-discovery, see Vedanta or life is Viveka all the way. First Dharma, that Uddared Atmana Atmana, you have to uplift yourself by yourself. Uddared Atmana Atmanam, 6th chapter verse. Uplifting is that tendency to commit to adharma. Tendency to do improper is natural, out of some pressure. There will be desire. When the desire is strong, you always feel like cutting corners. I want to do that, that's cutting. But then, there you have to use your wisdom, first the will, no, and the wisdom, so that you don't cut corners. And later you don't feel like cutting corners. Those who are honest and straightforward, they would never do that. They would never feel like doing that. But in the beginning, like speaking truth. In the beginning, you feel like telling little untruth. But you have to say, no, I speak truth. And then later on, you cannot speak untruth. You would naturally speak the truth. You would naturally commit to your dharma. Or just, there is an inclination to do what is proper. There is no inclination to do anything improper. So, this first viveka. Second viveka is attitudinal change. I do my duty, but as an offering, that karma itself is a pushpam, flower that I offered at the feet of the Lord. Action is an offering. When you go to temple, you offer something, money or gifts or sandalwood stick or whatever, incense stick or lamp or something. While performing my duty, I offer my all duties to Ishvara. Which Ishvara? That Karma Daksha Ishvara, the conductor of the whole universe, who put me in the given situation. He brought me in a situation where I am connected to these people. I am expected to do this thing. So, I do it as an offering. Oh Ishvara, you have put me here. So, may you be happy. May you be pleased. This is my offering to you. In our Sanskrit, we say, Ishvara arpana buddhya dharma karmani karu. I do this dharma as an offering to Ishvara. That is the second viveka. Then the third, in course of time, third level viveka arises. When, if this attitude is maintained for a length of time, mind becomes relatively free from the holds of likes and dislikes. There is no pressure. There is some space available inside to learn, to see the things objectively. People don't have space. They can't listen. They can't see their folly. They can't see their mistake. So much of congestion inside time, of fixed ideas and views and notions, and tremendous self-low image. So they can't accept being told that you should correct, or there is some correction necessary because of self-low image, lack of confidence, all kinds of psychological issues. But when you do this with the Ishvara attitude, later on you develop a space with him. That space makes you think, hey, what am I doing? Hey, what for am I doing? Then the life pursuits gets a proper direction. Moksha cha becomes. What moksha cha? There is a vague clarity. I want to be happy, but I am not going able to become happy in spite of all possessions and acquisition. There is something else I need to look for. Akrutena karmana akrutah nasta. I will not get this. There is a clarity here. So there is a dispassion. What you pursued with tremendous enthusiasm and then vigor and drive, later on that is gone. What for it is? I don't get self-contentment with all this money and power and position. And this is where the grace is. If you are born in Hindu culture, you turn to spirituality. The third, that's a Vairagya. Then what is spirituality? It's a Walmart, supermarket. Everything is available in this. But now in India, that spirit is also available. Formally, it was not there. At least in Gujarat, it is not available. So, there is a saved Jesus. Gandhiji has saved it. Not Jesus. Gandhiji saved us. That's the matter. One of my students doesn't say Jesus. Something I was saved. Oh, Jesus saved. They would say, Jesus Kakas, bachao. Jesus, not Jesus, Jesus. Jesus Chacha, Jai Yesu. Like that, So anyway, coming back to this, that discrimination leads to Vairagya. And Vairagya leads to moksha. And there Viveka is necessary. Moksha will be gained only by knowledge. Surrender to a teacher. Pramana, Shastra, Abhyasa alone will lead to moksha. That Viveka is also necessary. Moksha Ichha, Saranagati to Pramana. Pramana, Shastra is a Pramanam, and Shastra itself will not work. You have to understand the words and meanings of the Shastra words, so you have to surrender to teacher. The teacher who knows the right meaning of the words. He knows the meaning and he knows how to communicate. Two things. He or she himself should know, and he or she himself should know the methodology of communication. As we call it a sampradaya. That is very important. Otherwise, if you don't know, if one doesn't know, it may confuse the student and create this as a mystic thing, which is happening today. People talking it and making Atma as a mystical thing. Meditate and realize. It is not to be realized. It is you. You have to understand. Simple as that. But sometimes too simple thing becomes too complicated. That is example is Upanishad. So, all the way Vivek. Then ultimately Satya Mithya Vivek. What here is implied. What is the meaning here? What is the implied meaning here? Avijnanvan bhavati. The fellow doesn't have discrimination about dharma, adharma, about kartavya, akartavya. Here is a person who doesn't commit to duty. There is no resolve. Must do this. Everything else is subservient. That will to commit dharma and will to withdraw from a dharma is not there. That is avijnanavan bhakti, first sat. And he says, Shankaracharya very rightly says, anipunaha aviveki, pravruttaucha nivruttau. Where to engage and where not to engage. Two things. There should be viveka and there should be naipunyam also. Naipunya means you should have sharpness or subtleness, or you should be dexterous where to and how to. In a sense, things are to be done. In one word, in the modern context, if I say, there are so many people who are committed to duty, but they have to learn how much, where to stop. And they know what is adharma, but when not to, so not to give in, and when to give in, that also they should know. In the bigger picture, look at the whole thing. So, because earlier we have seen, I think, or we'll see, life is not black and white. It is all the mixed situation. It is always grey. And in that grey, you have to take a call. You have to discriminate every time. It is not like driving on US or European roads. It's driving in India. You have to be very intelligent to drive. When to take wrong side, or sometimes you have to take wrong side. No, sometimes you overtake from the left. That also you should know. All that is there. And you have to look in four directions. They look only front. But you have to look at the back, left, right, everything. You have to look at. Thank God, not six. Otherwise, if those drones are coming, that also may be the case. But you have to be careful, because every situation presents very confusing. Becomes confusing if one doesn't have clarity to do or not to do. To do this or not to do this. That is where naipunyam, kushalta, is necessary. First is to do this and how to do it. And how much to do this. Not to do this, when not to do this. In other words, one has to monitor one's life all the time. Life situations has to be monitored. That is a sarthi, should be. Rasacharya nipuna. They should know the roads, which road to go, which road not to go, where to take turn, where not to take turn, etc. And ayuktena manasa sada. That means what? The mind is a rein, we saw. Buddhi is a charioteer, mind, lagam is go. Ayukta manaha means reins are loose. What does it mean, reins are loose? That means what? Samahita, samyak ahita, very well placed. Asamahita, not placed well. In other words, there is no control over emotions. The fellow goes by fancies and emotions. Too much of emotional approach in life without the backing of a rationale, without the backing of the wisdom of the Shastra. It just goes. In other words, lives by fancies. And the problem gets confounded. Such fanciful fellows, such non-thinking fellows, their ideas get coupled with their ahankara. Generally, they are very stubborn. No, I feel like this. This is correct. No, why should you feel like this? No, I know. But what do you know? Not open for discussion. My intuition tells, especially some women I have seen. I'm telling you, intuition. What is intuition? Nothing works. All intuitional Mahatmas, great Mahatmas like Satya Sai Baba, Amrutanand Mani, they have also not been successful. I know that closely. Right under their nose, things are happening. So you are not Ishvara. Don't go by intuition. It's good. Sometimes you may discount for your intuition if it is strong, but one should live rationally. Buddhi is important, not intuition. It is like the story. This fellow had a watchman. And the watchman, morning, the master was to catch the morning flight, and the watchman came running. Sir, you don't go. Why? Well, today this plane is to meet with an accident. Sir, you don't go. Sir, you don't go. He insisted so much. Okay, I'll take mid-morning plane. He had some meeting, but he restructured and man decided to go. And this, how do you know? Well, I have intuition. Then he told, yesterday night I had a dream twice that this particular flight is going to crash. So all the time the voice came within that, stop your master, stop your master. So I stopped. He was so happy that he saved my life. I gave you a big prize and said, don't come from tomorrow. Terminated from duty. Why? He said, you are dreaming. You are supposed to keep awake. You are a watchman. The fact that you slept at night, that means you got a dream. Because you slept. So you better get up. You can't take risks. Every time the intuition will not come. Intuition may come for the aircraft. But when these thieves are coming, you will not get into, hey, thieves have come. This is not going to happen. Better go. Similarly, sometimes it's good to respect the intuitions, but you can't go by that. So living with fancies, the loose mind, so it follows what it feels like doing. I want to fulfill this fancy. I just decided I want to do that. I felt like doing, I want to do that. And such buddhi, which is not discriminating, and such mind, which is not disciplined, goes by emotions, goes by intuitions. Then what happens? Tasya indriyani avashya. His sense organs becomes uncontrolled. What kind of uncontrolled? Dushta ashva. Dushta ashva. Ashva means horses. Dushta means vicious or problematic horses. Like that, he goes. Means what? The horses don't listen to the master. And where will they go? Listen. When the horses are not controlled, where will they go? In a chariot. Wherever they see green grass, they will go on that side, correct? Something they like to eat, they will push. Even though master has to go on the road, they will go on the sides and with all kinds of potholes and everything would be there, but they will just run. They don't care what happens to the whole chariot. They don't care what will happen to the master. So in the example, it is a grass or the food. In life, what happens? Where will the horses go? Senses are horses. They will go to their respective sense objects. There will be pressure. I want to eat this, I want to see this, I want to do this. And that chariot, when it goes on the farm or the side of the road, all kinds of stones and holes and everything, ultimately it breaks. the health or body gets broken. So they went in this direction. They pick up all the disease like the tobacco chewers pick up a cancer. That is the tongue that pushes you to have. You know that we have this prohibition for drinking in Gujarat. So there used to be very beautiful advertisement. The drunkard doesn't drink the liquor, liquor drinks him. Very the whole system picks up cancer. So Dushtashvaha will ultimately break the chariot. The chariot is born, create all the disease, and the fellow will not proceed further anyway in the direction he or she is supposed to go. Rather than they will go in another direction. Dushtashvaha ivasarate. Sometimes wrong values. See, avignanavan bhavati. Wrong values, wrong ideas. There are so many people I have seen. I say means say, but I will not budge. Why should I am right, so stubborn. And they feel pride in that. Even anger. I have seen people glorifying their anger. I got angry, everybody is. That means they think anger is good for them. Some smartness in the political field, I know some people manipulate and do the smartness and they boast to it. I did that. All those things are improper values of life. What is important? Adharmam dharmam iti manyate. That which is improper is considered to be a simple example. Typically, here the drivers, they don't like to wear the belt. You must have seen the camp fathers, they don't wear the belt. When any driver comes, my first condition is wear the belt and then drive. Argument, nothing will happen, Swamiji, do not worry. He tells me. Then I tell him, well, if it happens only once. And there will not be there available to claim that nothing will happen. When it happens, the claimant will be gone. No, now, Swamiji, no chances of happening because you are sitting. Your grace will save me. I said, grace won't be telling. Wear the belt. Not wearing the belt is considered something good. And they say, I don't wear the belt. Driving fast. The rules are given for safe driving. Sometimes in emergency you may do it. But then this fellow takes pride in doing, I always like to drive like this. Improper values is avignana. And surrendering to fancies. Some people I have seen very difficult to communicate. They just don't listen. That is ayukta mana. And later on what happens? Senses drive the life. And what happens to their life? Very beautifully told in Gita. Indriyanam hicharadam yan mano vadiyate tadasya harati pragnam vayur nafa vivahas. Like a boat in an ocean without any control on steering. Is thrown hither and thither by the waves of the ocean. It cannot proceed in the direction it should proceed. As the wind blows, it blows. And in the direction. And the waves hit it. Similarly, this fellow in the ocean of samsara flows hither and directionless. What did you get? I always tell this. You should move the home once a while. After 10 years, move from one house to another house. How much? 1 truckload of luggage. That is you barter for 10 years of life. No punya karma, no dharma karma, no shastra study, got some furniture and clothes and all that. Exactly like garbage sale, garage sale. Garage sale, you spend all the money for this thing and wasted time in earning that money. Why you do that? There is no progress. The person is not grown in terms of punya karma nor moksha. Progress in terms of karma. Some pleasure he had more, better than before. But for that you don't need human body. Animal also have karmas. You have human body for dharma and moksha. No progress. That is called tossing hither and thither. They think they are growing, but actually there is no growth. That is Dushta Ashwa Yuvasat. See, continue tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha Hari Om